Have you ever had an experience like this? Today, you feel incredibly joyful because your entire morning was highly productive. You focused intensely on an important task, achieved satisfying results, and didn't feel tired at all. Or perhaps when reading a book, something you deeply love, you poured all your mind into it, forgetting everything around you. Time seemed to stop, and after finishing, an immense feeling of joy swelled within you. The psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi called this state of self-forgetfulness the optimal experience, or flow state. He explained the concept of flow in detail as follows. When an individual is completely absorbed in an activity, a feeling of intense excitement and profound satisfaction arises. At this moment, every action and thought flows smoothly, like water, and one's potential is unleashed to its fullest. Flow is the catalyst on everyone's path to self-development. When you focus intensely and enter the flow state, you will encounter an incredibly powerful version of yourself. If you are on a journey to enhance and develop yourself, then I believe this concept will be truly essential for you. Perhaps you're wondering, didn't I already share about the book Flow? Yes, that's true, but today is a special episode where I'll once again discuss this state. There are two reasons for creating additional content about this book. First, many of you have sent requests asking for more insights on how to apply the flow state in daily life. Second, Flow is an outstanding psychology book, a comprehensive scientific work representing Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's lifelong research, so it often requires multiple readings. My previous video about this book was made in the early days of establishing this channel, with brief content and less than perfect audio. That's why I decided to create a new video to offer everyone a better experience. If the previous video discussed how to achieve true happiness, this new video will focus on how to achieve self-development through the optimal flow experience. So now, please listen to this discussion titled, "The Fastest Way to Upgrade Yourself Through the Modern Psychology Masterpiece, Flow, Stepping Through the Door of Focus to Return to Your True Self." Jim Kwik, author of the book Limitless, conducted a survey and found that most successful CEOs reported being able to frequently enter a peak state. During such times, their work performance was 4 times higher than average. This peak state is precisely the flow experience. In the book, the author recounts a case. An ordinary worker on an assembly line at a factory found his job extremely tedious. When he came to work, he was always distracted, thinking about unrelated matters like worrying about a flat tire, concerns about unrepaired electrical appliances at home, or even recalling recent rumors. He frequently couldn't keep up with the pace of his colleagues. Consequently, his supervisors criticized him, docked his pay, and his work never went smoothly. In contrast, there was another worker who absolutely loved his job. Compared to sitting around chatting or daydreaming, he found coming to the factory every day incredibly exciting. Immersed in his work, joy surged, motivating him to constantly think about how to complete tasks faster and better. Typically, it took about 43 seconds to assemble a component unit. However, to break the record, he strived daily to maintain his highest concentration during practice. Gradually, he could easily sustain his focus, even remaining completely unaffected by surrounding conversations or jokes. Ultimately, in a state of complete undistractedness, he shortened the assembly time to 28 seconds, earning recognition and praise from his superiors. Through this story, we see that in the same environment and under identical conditions, 2 workers yielded completely different results. The difference lies in the fact that one person could easily block out distractions, maintain focus, and experience working in a flow state, while the other could not. The Russian educator Konstantin Ushinsky once said, "Focus is the only door to our soul. Everything in your consciousness must pass through focus to delve deeper within." This means that concentration is the beginning of all psychological activity and the foundation of your mental operations. If you cannot open this door of focus, you will lose connection with your inner consciousness. When you cannot delve within, you also cannot know your true potential, what kind of person you will become, what kind of life you will lead, or what your mission is. Furthermore, as the author stated, what has been and continues to make your life unsatisfactory is chaos. Research has found that whenever we do anything without focus, a phenomenon of inner disorder occurs, also known as psychic entropy. Entropy will disrupt your mind, leading to the disintegration of consciousness and self, thereby reducing learning and work efficiency. Therefore, to develop ourselves, we must find a way to counter entropy by regularly and more frequently increasing the density of flow state experiences. And the very first core element here, to enter the flow state, is complete focus. The first book I chose to share was Deep Work, and then Flow, because the content of these two books complements each other perfectly. The profound, intertwined lesson from both lies in intense focus. When you practice complete concentration on a single task, it's safe to say that almost every knot in your life will be untangled. You can elevate your capabilities, transform them into an indispensable core skill, and your life will become infinitely happier. This is not an exaggeration. I will use my own years-long journey of honing focus to share with you. If you've heard the discussion about deep work, you'll know there are 4 strategies to help one achieve high concentration. The first strategy is the *rhythmic strategy ***. Here, we schedule fixed periods to focus wholeheartedly, making it a daily habit. For example, dedicate 90 minutes each morning without using your phone, focusing entirely on your work. If any worries arise, write them down, fold the paper, and tell yourself you won't think about them until after your designated focus time. The next strategy is the bimodal strategy **, where we alternate between periods of deep work and shallow work. For instance, dedicate 4 full days to intensely tackling an important task and use the remaining 3 days for minor tasks that require less concentration. The third strategy is the monastic strategy **. In this approach, we emulate monks, severing all contact with the outside world and isolating ourselves in a separate environment. This strategy is usually suitable for those in creative professions. I have applied all 3 of these strategies, but ultimately, I found that the most challenging yet most effective was the journalistic strategy **. Training in this strategy allows us to flexibly switch into a state of deep focus at any point in our schedule. When you can implement this strategy, your ability to concentrate will become stronger than ever, helping you achieve high performance, connect deeply with every activity through intentional consciousness, and live a fuller life, moment by moment. In the past, I found it very difficult to concentrate. If there was noise around, I needed to seclude myself in a quiet corner to work and read effectively. However, after moving to a new living, studying, and working environment, I no longer had large blocks of time in my day for absolute concentration. Juggling studying, working, and making time to read books and write content all became significant challenges for me. I believe many of you have faced similar struggles, as modern life fragments our time too much. Therefore, training the ability to concentrate intensely at any moment is truly crucial. What helped me achieve this was practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness in eating, mindfulness in walking, mindfulness in brushing my teeth. Getting dressed, I treated every daily action as an opportunity to connect more deeply with the present moment. Mindfulness means bringing our consciousness to each action we are doing right now. The teacher I followed was Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh. By reading all of his mindfulness guidebooks, I practiced daily, reminding myself to be mindful in every word I spoke, every time I felt tired, or when dealing with anger. When you have sustained attention and focus on the present in your daily activities, you will gradually find it easy to fully concentrate on your work at any time. And if you can concentrate completely, you will experience the joy of self-forgetfulness. Then, as discussed in the book that explored dopamine's role in motivation, current molecules, along with dopamine, the expectation response molecule, will collaborate, making you strive to repeat that experience again. The higher the focus, the greater the satisfaction, leading to a positive feedback loop. Gradually, you will find yourself no longer distracted by the complexities outside, no longer influenced by irrelevant information. This profound, higher-level joy, originating from within, acts as a booster, helping you counteract the chaos of the external world and escape internal turmoil. Any task, any action in this life requires you to step through the door of focus and return to your true self. And this is the first thing I want to share with you. To easily concentrate and immerse yourself in the flow state, thereby enhancing and improving work performance, helping you continuously develop your potential, and especially helping you deeply experience profound inner joy. Beyond building intense focus, the second core element to experience the flow state is to be able to wholeheartedly commit to an activity. However, the question arises, what kind of activity allows us to easily immerse ourselves wholeheartedly? The author points out that the flow state only occurs when you're doing a task that is neither too difficult nor too easy for you. If it's too hard, you'll give up. If it's too easy, you won't be motivated. The book Awakening Awareness emphasizes that the best area for learning and growth is the edge of your comfort zone. This means you need to step out of your comfort zone, create a slight challenge for yourself, but don't go too far. Instead, work within the vicinity of comfort. These are tasks you can easily control, where actions flow naturally. Then, during the process, you'll feel comfortable, not annoyed, and upon completion, you'll receive quick feedback and a sense of satisfaction. The satisfaction here isn't just superficial, like, oh, great, I finished my work, but a deep, intrinsic satisfaction. This implies that the work you are doing must achieve harmony between your mind and your actions. It shouldn't cause internal conflict. For example, if you force yourself to earn a lot of money through a job that, deep down, you don't believe in, a job where you despise the methods used to entice people to buy your company's products, then even if you meet all performance metrics perfectly, you won't feel truly satisfied. You'll only achieve temporary gratification from dopamine release, which makes you continue striving for higher status or more recognition. But once achieved, you'll ultimately feel empty. As the author states, chasing insatiable greed will never help us achieve the flow state. Therefore, choose a job not driven by desire, a job that is challenging but not excessively difficult. When you do, you can fully commit to the work, and combined with intense focus, you will feel time disappear, forgetting yourself as if you are simply drifting in a current. At this moment, you are experiencing the flow state. However, some might argue that this only applies to favorite tasks. For disliked work, no amount of effort helps. I love a quote from Anne of Green Gables that says, "If you decide to have a good time, you always can." Conversely, if you think from the beginning that something won't be fun, then it won't be. The author advises finding work you love and are passionate about, and you will easily enter the flow state with full dedication. In reality, if you have the opportunity to do work you are passionate about, that is incredibly fortunate and wonderful. Seize it and continue to develop it. But it's certain that not everyone in this world can easily do work they love. In such cases, if you don't know what you like or haven't found your ideal job, it's best to adopt the mindset, as a wise saying goes, if you cannot change your destiny, then learn to love your current work. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi also concluded that when you can focus less on external circumstances and simply change the content of your inner consciousness, you can decide whether you are happy or sad. In other words, even the most mundane job, as long as you can fully concentrate on it and create flow experiences, you can make it interesting and meaningful for yourself. Put differently, negative emotions and behaviors like boredom, sluggishness, and laziness are not caused by the events themselves, but by false beliefs stemming from your own perceptions and subjective evaluations of those events. In fact, even when facing work you dislike, you can still find joy in it, provided two conditions are met. First, start with a positive mindset. Stop complaining, stop perceiving the work only as a burden or difficulty. Second, tell yourself that you like this work. For example, if you dread math, to improve the situation, as the book Learn How to Learn suggests, you must first change your beliefs. Think that math is not scary and that you truly love it. Or, as Tiny Habits points out, before forming a habit, establish an identity for yourself. Imagine you are an expert in that field. Your identity will inherently guide you past fears and help you develop positive behaviors. This is similar to a technique Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi proposed, to dream. The dreaming the author refers to is not about unrealistic fantasies, but purposeful psychological self-suggestion. In many successful individuals, we see the power of self-suggestion. A prime example is Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time. He was 1.98 m, 66, tall, but in high school, he was only 1.75 m, 59, and was once cut from the school basketball team for being too short. Jordan's father was also of average height, and his siblings were not tall. From a genetic perspective, Jordan seemed unlikely to grow tall, but he was incredibly passionate about basketball and would quietly tell himself, "I need to grow taller, taller, taller." He longed to grow taller every day and tried every method: jumping rope, hanging from a pull-up bar, and eating a nutritious diet. Not long after, a miracle occurred. Within a year and a half, his height rapidly increased from 1.75 m to 1.92 m, 64. After that, he easily joined the school basketball team, began his career, and everything started to go smoothly. You'll see that learning to dream correctly means imagining, self-suggesting, and taking action. Without action, imagination is just an illusion. Effective self-suggestion requires clear goals and step-by-step planning for execution. These elements will help you work wholeheartedly and easily enter the flow state. The final way to help us enter the flow state is to discover flow in solitude. After thousands of research cases, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi put forth the idea that a person who knows how to find the flow state in life can find joy even in the most desperate circumstances. The book shares the case of a woman over 60 years old. After her husband passed away and her children grew up to have their own lives, she lived alone on a secluded island. The impermanence of life and death, coupled with the profound loneliness in silence, left her feeling utterly helpless. She would often sigh or cry, missing her husband and children. During endless nights, she would toss and turn, unable to sleep, feeling every minute and second pass with extreme difficulty. Then, to alleviate her pain, she began reading all sorts of books her husband had left on the shelves and started writing or drawing her thoughts. Unexpectedly, these rich stories and perspectives led her into an immensely vast spiritual world. In this world, she could forget time and overcome her sorrows. These wonderfully enriching experiences helped her rekindle her passion for life. Besides reading and writing, she also planted flowers, grew trees, and raised livestock near her home. She even used a whiteboard to write jokes she created or draw directions to her house. She no longer had idle thoughts or was consumed by negative emotions. Her spirit grew stronger. Though she still lived alone, she no longer felt empty or helpless because flow continuously filled the voids in her soul, helping her avoid unnecessary depletion. Moreover, it led her to experience a life of both intellectual and spiritual growth in her later years. You will find that solitude, in fact, offers the greatest opportunity to easily discover the flow state. Arthur Schopenhauer once said, "Only when a person is alone can they be themselves." When we are alone, we have the opportunity to calm ourselves, focus on one task, and savor joy. This kind of solitude is a high-quality solitude. However, in today's information-saturated era, most people don't know how to be alone, much less enjoy solitude. When left alone, many people reach for their phones, watch a movie, or play games to fill the emptiness in their souls. Their minds are also constantly stirred by anxieties. The author states that the main reason for this is our lack of strong inner discipline. Year after year, we become lazy, and psychic entropy inner chaos worsens. To counter entropy, we need to focus and enjoy solitude by adding exciting colors to our lives through flow experiences. The author explains that most activities in life can generate flow, such as mountain climbing, baking, dancing, gardening, sewing clothes, making things from recycled materials, and so on. These small hobbies and interests, outside of busy daily work, become a refuge for flow in your mind, helping to soothe complex emotions, thereby adjusting and strengthening yourself. A person with high self-healing capabilities who can bounce back from difficulties is someone who, even when lonely and with nothing to do, will find something to do. Instead of endlessly chasing societal rewards, they constantly focus on enriching themselves, filling their being with a series of meaningful, complete living moments. Enjoy joy, but do not become addicted or enslaved by the pursuit of pleasure. Furthermore, to prevent mental chaos and avoid increasing entropy, you need to keep your life balanced. Remember that anything taken to an extreme will lead to a loss of control and create negative emotions. In addition, the author points out another way to easily experience flow: appreciating art and increasing physical activity. By continuously enhancing our ability to perceive art, we can easily achieve the flow state. For example, listening to music seriously and attentively, the soul's vibrations brought forth by quality sound can also lead people into optimal experiences. Moreover, exercise is always a wonderful stress reliever. When we challenge our body's limits, negative emotions like boredom, fatigue, and dissatisfaction are released with our sweat, leaving behind a light body and a relaxed mind, making it easier to enter the flow state and revitalize yourself amidst suffering. In the book Flow, there's a quote I particularly like. Anyone who can persist through suffering and failure, their life will become an unending flow. It is a series of experiences of consistent, orderly, and deeply meaningful wholehearted focus, and the joy derived from that inner order. In the process of seeking flow, we inevitably endure solitude when facing problems alone or continuous boredom. But this difficulty and hardship are only temporary. They are the necessary challenges for you to grow. So, set specific, clear goals, focus intensely, love the work you do, commit wholeheartedly, and patiently persevere. You will become stronger than ever with the help of flow on your path to self-development.